Hi everyone, Aquarian Humanitarian here. If you're new to this channel, we have been putting out self-development videos related to mental health, consciousness, soul mission, soul purpose that would help you ascend to the new 5D Earth. And again, I apologize for not having my camera on. I tried so many times, but I still couldn't get it to work. Today, we will talk about Jesus' teachings not taught in church. So, with that said, I want to welcome Sir Tato Malay, the founder of the AM Kamalayan Movement. Kamalayan means consciousness. Welcome, Sir Tato, and thank you for being here again to share your
Hello,
wisdom.
and nice picture again that I see here. Na may miskin live, live appearance mo.
I
So
apologize for
anyway,
that.
um, that's something that we need to address. It will come back, don't worry. So those who miss the videos of the live videos of Aquarian Humanitarian here, well, maybe next week it's going to come back.
It's
Anyway,
one of the things that I get attacked.
yeah,
My Wi-Fi, my internet connection, all kinds of
talagang
technical
they do
issues.
something that will stop whatever you're planning to do. Anyway,
Yeah. Yep, but then they can't stop me because we're here today and we will continue
of course, of
to
course.
share our wisdom to everyone every week. So
Anyway,
you have the floor.
all right. Anyway, so our topic today are mostly Jesus teachings that are not really taught or emphasized in religions. These are things that you get to really read naman in the Bible. These are words or verses that you get to read, but they were not exactly explained as how it's supposed to be understood. All
Okay.
right. So maybe if you will just, I say this most of the time. Every time you get to watch our videos, I hope you open your minds. I
Mhm.
mean, you have an open mind, and you just, let us, say what we want to say, and for you to accept what you want to accept, and not to accept what you don't want to accept. That's all. But again, as I've said here, we are not here to put down any religion for that matter. We're not here to criticize. We're not here to destroy what their beliefs are, but we are here to explain more on the same things that you are now familiar with. Like many of what people think of who Jesus is or was. I mean, people think that Jesus came to put up a religion. He did not.
Mhm.
He did not come here to put up a religion. He didn't
Mhm.
want to start one. And he did want to be worshipped. I mean, he didn't exactly plan to really become a god in terms of, putting up an altar and sit in front of that and people would come and we listen to him in terms of, well, regularly. He didn't actually do it. He didn't plan it that way. So again, we want to set that straight. We want to say that that was not his plan. So what was his real plan? His only goal was to awaken us. That's the only thing he wanted to do, to awaken us. Because
Mhm.
during that time, Jesus saw that many were not awake in terms of what they believe in, because they were just told to follow, to believe what the the church authorities told them. I mean, the the priests, the high priests, the pastors. So practically, that's what is really happening and still ongoing right now. That we are not supposed to question. We are just supposed to accept what they are going to teach us. So that made us wonder as to, exactly what the things written in the Bible exactly meant. When in fact, every time I get to read it, I get to interpret it differently from what authorities would actually claim that this is the right interpretation. So I started not debating, but asking questions. And when they cannot answer my questions, well, that was when I started doing my own study or research on this matter. And I found a lot of, I would say, discrepancies when it comes to the teachings of Jesus. As I've said in Kamalayan, the only things that I teach are Jesus Christ's teachings. And somehow it's not really different from what regular churches would actually teach. But then again, I teach it in a different manner. I would say I teach it in a metaphysical manner. But again, I'm not deviating really from what Jesus meant because I feel that what I now am teaching is more close to what Jesus really meant in terms of what he did or what he really wanted to say during that time. Okay, let's start as for our session today. This particular verse, the kingdom of God is within you. Diba? We always read that
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible. It's familiar. I mean, it's always being told to us that yes, the kingdom of God is within you. But but religions often emphasize the separation of that kingdom from us. That God is not here inside us, but outside, up there. So what does that mean? We're separated. And what are the implications of that? If you're separated, that means you're not connected. That means you're you're weak. There's no force that would bind you together. So there's no communication. I mean, first of all, there's no communication because you know that's what is supposed to happen. They wanted us not to communicate with God directly. Why? Because they would want to be in that position, to be the ones to communicate for you, for us. You talk to us. What do you want? We will bring it to God. O, ganun ang ginawa nila. That's why you come here to church. Di ba?
Yeah.
That's how actually they control
Yep.
our people. I mean, that's exactly what they destroyed in terms of their interpretation. Because basically, literally, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. So, ano pa ang problema mo? I mean, diretso yun. I mean,
Yeah.
hindi ba? So, what does that mean? You can go directly to God. So, what is it that is wrong with that statement? That you can go directly to God. So, I don't see any reason. And when I ask, the authorities about that, well, they say, well, it's you just follow what we say. Oh, sabi ko, teka muna, I need a further explanation on this. And if you cannot explain it properly, I think I will look for answers elsewhere. So that's what I did. And so, again, the kingdom of heaven is within you. All right. And I will tackle more of that later on. No? Another one, I will just maybe concentrate on today. Another one is you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Sinabi ni Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Jesus said, it was alluded also to him that he is the light of the world. And so are
Mm-hmm.
we. Diba?
Yeah.
That's what he was telling people, that everyone, that we are also the light of the world. What do we mean by that? That means the divine spark is in us. That we really have the light coming from the source within us. So again, literally, it was explicitly said, the light of you are the light of the world. And so if you are the light of the world, why are you still telling us that you are not um, abundant in terms of what you have to be in terms of being in the kingdom of God? I mean, you have everything. You have already the kind of, I would say, the 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 sunshine that you need to practically glow in splendor. You have everything. So you are the light. In terms of light, there's no darkness. So again, we are not supposed to be weak. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be happy. We're not supposed to be sad. But again, as I've said, we live here on earth. I think that was one of the things that we need to understand, that we need to first experience the opposite before we can really be able to say that we are really the light of the world. So we have to
Hmm.
experience darkness
Yes.
again. So no problem with that. So that's what we did. But what happened is we stayed in darkness for the longest time. Up to now, we're still in that darkness.
Yes.
That
Hmm.
there's no way out up to this moment. As if parang what's wrong? I mean, what's happening? I mean, I thought we can now experience heaven on earth. No, the thing is, again, we're not told right things. So we accepted what they told us. So yun na. Okay, another one that why we'll tackle more of later on. No? Kasi this three will be expounding on these three verses. So again, the kingdom of heaven is within you. That's from Luke 17, verse. I mean, yeah, Luke chapter 17, verse 21. So that's a Bible. Yeah. You can look it up. Luke chapter 17, verse 21. And you are the light of the world. That's in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. So it's there. Now, the next one is before Abraham, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. From John chapter 8, verse um, verse 58, 58, verse 58. Yeah, chapter 8, verse 58. All right, before Abraham was, I am. All right, what do we mean by this? Before Abraham, I am. What is I am? Well, sabi nga nila, I am is the name of God. But again, what is really the way we should look at the name of God that I am? Because if we really would understand the words or the phrase I am, it's really very, very powerful. If that is the name of God, I am, that means we are also God as we. And what is that? We are creators. And so when we use the phrase I am, we are able to create what we want, whatever we want here on earth. So again, what's wrong with that? Why are we not able now to create exactly everything that we want? Because sabi nga nila, well, you have to earn it. What do you mean you have to earn it? Sabi nga, before Abraham, I am. So in other words, there's nothing that would actually be a barrier between that statement of Jesus. Now, ever since already, I am already connected with God. I am a creator. I am God as me. So again, as I've said, these are things that are in the Bible that are being taught in church, but not explained properly. And here in Kamalayan, this is where I actually really get to discuss all these things. Kasi talagang ang labo eh. I mean, it's been a long time that we haven't actually received a real answer from these religions that from these authorities from whatever religion or institutions you're part of. Well, again, you're free to ask your pastors, your priests, as to what exactly are the meaning or the literal interpretations of these things that we are now discussing. So again, okay. So again, there's another one. Greater works than I you shall do. And you know that exactly is something that is again in the Bible. Greater works than I you shall do. And who said that? Jesus. If Jesus said that, that means who are we? Hindi niya sinabi na I'm the only one who can do this because I am God that you have to worship. But he said, greater works than what I've done. The miracles that I've done, you will also do. You can do much more. Oh, dadaigin mo pa. Dadaigin pa natin.
Mm-hmm.
So again, what's really the problem in accepting that? How come Jesus was portrayed as the only one who can do it? But when he said those things, I mean, again, I believe them. That's why I said, no, when I was questioning this, when I was asking these questions, I was really insisting on the kinds of answers that I needed to hear. And they cannot answer it properly. So sabi ko, ano ko pala ito? Parang ayaw nyo sagutin. Alam mo, you know, the real reason, you know, the real answers, but we don't want to just say it now. Okay, so I said, all right, I will form my own religion. No, I did not form that. But I said I will form a group that will explain all these things to the people I will encounter. And that's why the Kamalayan movement, I am Kamalayan movement is born. Look at the words I am in Kamalayan. I am consciousness. All right. You know, before Abraham was I am. And what is that I am? It's really the consciousness of God that we already have. That's why, as I've said, I am Kamalayan is really the Christ consciousness. Kaya lang, iniba ko lang para hindi magmukhang religious ang dating. But it's really, what I'm discussing here is the Christ consciousness. Okay, so what happened? Well, let's go back to history. I mean, during the time of Constantinople, Roman Emperor Constantinople, he knew already that the Gnostic wisdom or the Gnostic teachings were already proliferating. I mean, they were already popular. But yung other religious groups also were present in terms of like the Jewish religion. So I mean, they were also present. I mean, already being accepted at that time. But the Gnostic teachings, which we had discussed recently, were more of really taken out from the Bible that they were trying to put out. Because during that time, Constantinople wanted to create what he called something like a new religion that would integrate every teachings of the different religions. Kumbaga pulot-pulot niya. Ang dami nga niyang from pagan religions pinulot nilagay sa Bible. And somehow we have a lot of pagan beliefs that were included in the Old and New Testaments. Mm-hmm. So talagang, chop suey. I mean, halo-halo, para lang to please everyone. That's what they did. I mean, yes. They selected, okay, this one pwede ito, this one, no. And they selected, I mean, they pointed that the Gnostic teachings were not supposed to be included. And what were these books? These were the books of Thomas, the books of Mary Magdalene, the book of John, and you know, the book of Enoch. Ang dami. So, lahat yung tinanggal nila. So, what happened was they selected only what they feel would be suited for the kind of new religion that they will create to control the people. That's what exactly they wanted to come up with, control. Because if you actually notice that in the 3 verses or the 4 verses I discussed earlier, if these were going to be believed by everyone, they cannot control these people who will believe in what we just discussed. Because sabi ko, why will I follow you? I can only follow myself because I believe that I am connected also to the God that wrote me. Di ba? Ganun ang dapat nangyari. And they actually were threatened. That's why they eliminated all these books. And it was a good thing that recently, in 1945, the Naghamari texts were found or discovered. And these were the books of, again, of Philip, the book of, what do you call this? Mary Magdalene, the book of Thomas, and others. So that was the eye opener in terms of what exactly was supposed to be the teachings of Jesus. Because again, in those books, there were books that really contained the teachings of Jesus. Like in the Gospel of Thomas, he said there, or I read it, but I will not be able to miss out on things. In the Gospel of Thomas, in 1 verse, if you bring forth what it is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. What does that mean? If you do not bring forth that is within you, what is it that you have to bring forth? Your consciousness, Kamalayan. Because basically, it's your consciousness that really creates the reality that is supposed to really be happening. And that verse did not say that Jesus was a savior or a personal savior. Diba? I mean, in many of the teachings, you have to accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior. But here, Jesus said, you have to bring out what is within you. And again, what is it that you have to bring out? Again, that's the consciousness, the Christ consciousness. He was talking about the Christ consciousness. That's all. And somehow, these were not included. These kinds of books that explain thoroughly the teachings of Jesus were really eliminated. And only a few years ago that we are discovering them. All right, anyway. So again, we're thankful that the Naghamari texts were discovered and we are now able to access that, every human has a direct access or communication with God, with the divine. They thought that, again, as I've said, they thought that heaven is a place to go to, when you die. But in the Nag Hammadi text, it was always explained in many of the teachings of Jesus that heaven is not a place you will go to, but a state of mind in terms of what you can achieve inside you to be able to reach that heaven, the kingdom of God. So it's not really a place, but a state of consciousness that you can access right now. You don't have to wait for you to die because, you know, I mean, religions have always been saying that, well, in this at this particular time, in this particular world that we're experiencing now, we are not going to experience the real joy or happiness that we're really seeking or looking for. It is only when we die where we are going to go back to heaven and experience it. So again, that's why people have accepted misery as a way of life here on earth. Imagine, kaya tayo talaga nagkakagulo, nagkakahirapan dito, na tinanggap na natin, o sige, tulungan na lang ninyo kami. And nagpauto na tayo. Oo, sige, kami na bahala sa inyo. Tulungan kayo na. We will help you. Di ba? I mean, that's the real score here right now. That's what they promised us. But the real teaching was the opposite. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you really knew who you are, you will know that you have the power to really do what you are supposed to be able to do here. Now, again, so you know, Rome during that time were not actually threatened by the message of Jesus, but they were threatened as to the outcome if people believe in his message. So dun nila tinago na talaga because they knew that when people will really claim that we are powerful, wala na. We don't need you. We don't need this church. We don't need whatever. We have a direct communication with God. And it's exactly what's supposed to be done. That's who we are. We have a direct communication with our source. Anyway, so instead of, you know, well, they turned the revolution of Jesus. Because Jesus was actually starting a revolution because during that time he was going against the teachings of the present church that he was part of. I mean, remember, he was a Jew and he was actually starting a revolution against the teachings. And so when when Jesus died, when when Constantinople and the bishops who were present during that time, and when they created what we call this, the Council of Nicaea, and they decided which books will actually enter the Bible that they're trying to write or put out. Yun na nga, instead of of what happened to what really happened to the revolution of Jesus, they turned it into an institution. All right, sabi nga nila, okay, eto yun, dito, si Jesus. We will not remove Jesus because people believed in him. And they accepted exactly who Jesus was. And so sabi, sige. But again, dito, sabi nga, that that inner transformation, that inner transformation rather was turned into an external worship. So here is Jesus. They presented him as a God. All right. So is there something wrong with that? Nothing. Because we are all, Jesus is a man who also now claims to be spiritual and godlike. And sabi nga niya, greater works than I you will do. If I were the God, I will not say that. Sabi ko sa inyo, you just follow me and worship me. But he said, greater works. Yun na lang eh. That would already change your perception of who he was. So again, the verses I discussed earlier were really something that I really needed to find answers for. So when they started me, when they started not giving me the right answers, I looked for it and found them, and now I'm sharing them through a new way of doing it in terms of not exactly still actually okay. Remember, into this, I was still doing radio work. I was a radio host in Radio Veritas, a Catholic radio station. And I would, that's why my bosses who were Catholic priests, I mean, and they were the station managers, and they were the ones operating the station. When they listen to my program, they want to participate because every time I talk about this, they contradict what I'm saying in terms of what I am now, what I was explaining. Kasi iba yung tinuturo nila, iba yung tinuturo ko. See, I mean, the way I said it exactly was the way I said it before. And who Catholic priest would allow me to say that in a Catholic station, radio station. 10 years yan, ganun ang ginagawa ko. Naghahabol kami ng, ng palusot. I mean, they would actually look for reasons to say that I was wrong, but they couldn't find any because I was always correct. So, talaga, sabi ko, what's wrong with what? We were not debating, but I was presenting my side. And so the people now exactly was following my, more of accepting my explanations, my views. Kaya talagang, kaya Tato, maganda siya sabi mo, kaya lang hindi na Catholic eh. What do you mean hindi Catholic? I said it. Is that not Catholic? I mean, if Jesus said it, I mean, what would not make it Catholic? Jesus said he is universal. What do you mean by universal? What is the word that he used during that time? The real word that he used was katholos, which means universal, for everyone. Walang religion, pang lahat. He was teaching all these lessons for everyone, not specifically for a certain group, for everyone. That's why he said katholos, Catholic. You look it up in the dictionary, the word Catholic, small letter C. The meaning is universal. And what did religion do? They made Catholic with a capital C and made it into a religion. Oh, see, I mean, naging nakahon into a religion. But in fact, if we really look at the real word in the dictionary, it means universal. So, okay. So, now let's go back to before Abraham, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. What is it, I am? Again, every time you invoke the words or the phrase I am, you are what? Uh, Invoking the same creative power that that uh, the source or that God used to create all the universes that you are now seeing in the galaxies, in all. So talaga universal na eh. Yun ang pan ni Jesus then during that time. So that's why he said, before Abraham was, I am. And then use that I am because we are all creators. We are here to just create. And what are we doing? We limited our beliefs to it's only Jesus who can create because he's the God. Again, greater works than you will do. So that means I can do it. We can do it. You can do it. So what's this? Nothing. But again, as we have learned, we have seen in the institutions like religions, no, it's only us and it's only Jesus. It's only the higher authorities in terms of the priests who can do it, who can become it. I mean, the pastors, nga, tinanggap natin na gano'n. Problema tayo worldwide with all these wars. We say we have to love one another. But again, why are we promoting wars? Why are we part of this violence that we're seeing? If we are promoting love, where is that love? When you want to fight, when you want to kill, is that love? Is that the way Jesus wanted it? I don't think so. So again, as I've said, many of the things really that we are now experiencing are a result of the miseducation that we have from all these religious organizations that we have been part of. Kasi look, I mean, the Muslims are fighting, the Christians are fighting, and all in the name of God. Tapos sasabihin nyo na tama lang, it's right for us to kill each other when you are doing it for God. Di ba? I mean, is that correct? Yeah, so, again, simple lang ang sagot niya eh. We never actually accepted who we are. So again, we have not recognized who we are and who are we really. We are a soul. We are soul, spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not human beings only trying to become spiritual. We are really spiritual beings. Now, what is the meaning of a soul? Well, as I've said before, I mean, sometimes the soul and spirit are intertwined. But for me, I mean, I was able to research on something. The word soul, when it comes to our place now on Earth, it is okay. First, again, we have first we have spirit. Spirit is everything. The monad, God, the source. It's basically energy, spirit. That's where we all came from. All right. So, but it wanted to experience itself. That's why it gave free will to whatever who would want to experience itself away from the 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 place that heaven that they were in. So, kasi in spirit form, boring. What I mean, sorry. I say, okay, you're just there. All right, you're just looking at each other, having the nice things. But again, they were not growing. They were just stagnant. But again, the source is infinite. So it had to experience new things for it to grow. And somehow, what we have learned, I mean, all these entities, deviated from the source, I mean, separated from the source, and a new being. Now, since they were given free will, they were supposed to, choose whatever they want to do. And God was not going to judge them. Because sabi nga nila, God naman is not really a person. God is not really a real being in terms of looking at whoever and then saying that you know that's wrong or that's right. It's not that way. So what is it? What is it? God, I mean, that source, that energy wanted to experience itself so that it can create new experiences, new levels of life, new kinds of, I would say, um, ways of really looking at everything because it's infinite now. So there is no limitation. And many who separated from that time, I mean, that earlier moments, they chose to experience the dark side of it first. So they knew already how it was like in the bright side, in God's kingdom. But they also wanted to create a new world wherein they would actually become their own gods. And so when they became their own gods and they believed that they were the real gods as they are, that was when everything fell apart. And so now we're part of the problem when we are now looking at all these things in the Bible. Like, why are we seeing a God in the Old Testament who is vengeful, hateful, avenging, angry God? Is that the kind of God that we're supposed to believe, who is supposed to be benevolent, kind, loving? It's the opposite. So who was that God? But many religions are actually adoring, worshiping, and promoting up to now. That Yahweh is their God. That's why in the New Testament, Jesus was opposing that God that the Old Testament was uh, talking about, because exactly Jesus knew who he was. And that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing, to remember who we are, that we are actually God as we who came from the real source. Now, again, that is something that was not taught to us properly because, they said, I mean, the religions told us that there's a process. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. You have to be able to be suffering or, you know, offering all these things so that you will get to be um, you will be given the kind of acknowledgement that you are awaiting or you're wanting to get from God. So again, as I've said, these are the things that were taught to us that are not exactly, I think, were the right answers that I was looking for. And nobody during my time was able to answer it until I discovered the real answers. And that's why now I'm trying to explain this to a lot of people. So again, as I said, we're just concentrating on these few verses lang talaga. And we are going to tackle this in a very, I would say, um, uh, I mean, not exactly um, in a very, I would say, clinical way or technical way as what people in church would do. Na parang kailangan, this is going to be this, that's that, and follow it, and then that's it. And to sa akin, it's my kind of informal, the way I present it. So again, I always talk only about consciousness because basically that was what was not explained properly to us. What is that Christ consciousness that we're supposed to align with the divine truth? Di ba? Our consciousness. I mean, we're supposed to align with the divine truth. But what did we align it with? Not the divine truth. We aligned it with with everything that is negative. Many of the things that we actually align with our material things that are really providing us something that was kind of limiting. And somehow it never really brought us happiness since we did not really align properly. So it's really the alignment of our consciousness. And sa sabi nga nila, if you align your consciousness in the right manner, many mystics call it nirvana. Wow, they found nirvana. Or sometimes, you know, we say that they are enlightened. Diba? We use those words. When you become enlightened, I found the answer. I have aligned. If I have aligned my consciousness with the source, and the Christ consciousness that we have been trying to create in us or discover in us. Exactly, that's what we're supposed to become, and it's really pointing now to to now this direction that we are now experiencing. Many of us are starting to wake up and see they are now seeing the light and now are telling others that, hey, we are now able to discover really who we are. Well, maybe because in social media was there to distract us, to confuse us. But what happened in social media was like-minded people, like-minded people like us, started to connect with each other. And so that's why, it's a good thing that we're all able to connect with others through social media. And what we're doing now is it's exactly that. We're giving people now the chance to learn what they never learned from the institutions that they're part of. I mean, we're not telling them to leave the churches that they are part of. But again, as I said, we're just opening your minds to better or newer meanings or translations or interpretations of how we actually understood the teachings of Jesus. So again, di ba? All right. So what else can I give as an example? All right. So in other words, Jesus was the preview that we're supposed to look up to as to what we can become. If Jesus was able to do it in terms of what he actually manifested, he created miracles. He manifested a lot of things. He healed a lot of people. That's exactly what we can do also. Greater works. So again, we have to now get out of our limitations. We have to now understand that we are not weak, we're not limited. We have the potential. We have the kind of God potential in us because we are really God as the divine spark is in us. We are the light of the world. So the next, sabi ko ba, the next phase of human evolution is not actually technology. It's consciousness. It's Kamalayan. It's not because, I'm using Kamalayan and sabi ko, but it's really the real way of looking at it. It's why I'm trying to explain to people that so the word Kamalayan or consciousness is vital to our very existence right now because it's exactly who we are. Without our consciousness, we are not going to be creating infinitely. Because again, when we get out from this world, our soul will remember. through our consciousness, everything that we had experienced, everything that we had learned, everything that we had, I would say, done in the past, in all of the lives that we had undergone, that is still what we would carry with us wherever we would go after this lifetime. And where is that located? In our consciousness. So our consciousness is really vital in terms of what we are now becoming. What are we now, uh, how are we using our consciousness? That's right. If you are not able to still understand what the Christ consciousness is all about, it would really be hard for us to be able to go to a higher level of dimension that we would want to go to later on, because it will just keep us always on the lower dimensions, on the lower consciousness levels, and so on. That would stop us from enjoying really our way of growing as a spirit, as a soul. So again, you know, we are here not because we are supposed to work, to eat, to live, and retire someday, and to die. We're not that. I mean, we're not going through that process. Just we're not actually just experiencing that process. So, what are we supposed to do in this world? We are here to create. All right, what are we going to create? We are here to create the impossible. Impossible. Di ba? Kasi ang dami na natin ginawang limitations with our lives. I cannot do it. And when you say I cannot do something, or I think I'm afraid to do it, you're denying the divine power in you. That's how I look at it. That's why we need to understand that now we have to be courageous. We cannot be fearful. We cannot, be afraid. We have to do things that we think are impossible, that we think that it's something that we cannot do. And that's what we have to do now. And do it through love. Because with love, everything is possible. Hindi ba? But if you do it with fear, you are just going to limit yourself. That's why, is it wrong to have a lot of money? No. I mean, if you're going to use money in a loving way, but if you use money in a fearful way, you hoard it, you actually are selfish, you don't share it, you will not be happy. And so that's not exactly the way to use money. But again, as I've said, there's nothing wrong with money. So that's exactly what Jesus was telling people, having you know, during that time, he was asked about taxes, di ba? Sabi nga, di ba, there's this group of people who approached him and asked him about, you know, the kind of, uh, um, I would say, high tax, the kind of very high tax that they were giving. And Jesus said, well, you have to give it, you have to pay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God. That's exactly in the Bible as well. So Jesus didn't say money is wrong. So using money in the wrong process is the problem if you will actually do it in the wrong, if you will use it in the wrong manner. But if not, there's nothing wrong. There's no problem with it. All right. So, again, ang question nga, all right, so, all right, okay, I will accept that I am divine, I am God as me. But why am I still feeling weak or miserable? Why am I still feeling um, not happy? Di ba? Because basically there was this systemic campaign that was to really maintain us in that manner. Everything that was put out in media was to create that unhappiness in our life and our unworthiness. Everything was really done to create all these things. For what? To control us. Exactly. What we see, what we hear in media, puro tayo tinatakot, puro tayo problema, puro tayo awayan. And somehow it keeps us on a low consciousness level. And that's what those who want to control us are doing. And they are now happy seeing a lot of people unhappy. Exactly. Who brought that about? Well, you don't know. There was this really way of creating that kind of a level of consciousness that we need to just stay on that level. That's why, you know, all right, let's go back to the day you were born. You know, look at babies. Diba, when babies were born, they were already enlightened. They they were complete. They were whole. Diba, when you look at the eyes of a baby, when you look at the smile of a baby, talagang, wow, matutuwa ka sa kanya. And then, as that baby grew, we taught that baby how to live the life here. That we are not going to stay wherever happy, and you have to actually create many things for you to be happy. You have to work for your happiness. You have to prove. You have to be able to survive. So, brainwash tayo as to who we are. Not as God as we, but as human beings who are weak, helpless, uh, talagang wala. I mean, uh, unintelligent. Look, even the schools, people thought, people thought that the moment they get to finish college, they'd be able to live the kind of life that they had been aspiring to live. But look at many of those who have graduated and look at their lives. All right, they might be earning some money, but ask them, are they happy? And even look at those who were really successful, who had experienced a lot of, I would say, abundance or prosperity. But ask them, are you really happy? And they will say no. That's why they would want to create more. They would still compete. They would still kill. They would still, um, be violent in terms of how to protect their interests. And so why did we end up that way? Because we were programmed. We were really programmed by that group of people who wanted to control us through the church, through institutions that we had been exposed to. Exactly all these things that we are now experiencing. So as I've said, why are we now going like this? Because we surrendered our lives to whoever you think is your authority in terms of what you believe in. But now we're exposing you to a new kind of thinking. We're opening up a new level of thinking, of consciousness. And here you are, many of you would still say, no, that's against our beliefs. Why? Nasa sa inyo na yun. So
Mm.
I think I've said a lot already. So maybe you want to react. Maybe I'll add more to it later on. So what can you say about all these things that I've mentioned already?
Okay. So there was a download while you're explaining these things, um, to share two things, which is very aligned to what our topic is today. So the first one that I wanted to share is, I'm going to read it because this is something that I came across during my research a while back. The title is the title of the video that I watch is "Stop Praying to the Demiurge. The Real God
Yeah.
is Within You." So after I read that, I'm gonna then share what the words of wisdom is for today, which I've been sharing every day. But this one is very today's words is actually very aligned with the the teaching, the topic that we're discussing today. So this is not by accident. It's alignment, it's synchronicity. So
Mhm.
let me just read that very quickly. Um, so what I'll read is information from one of the videos I came across. I want to share it because this is profound. The title is "Stop Praying to the Demiurge. The Real God is Within You." So if not familiar with the Gnostic teaching, Demiurge is the creator of this material world, not the capital G God. Okay. So this particular video explores Gnostic philosophy. It's focusing on the distinction between the capital G God, which is not, this is not something we were taught. Okay. The capital G God, the true source of existence, versus the small letter G God, the material world's creator, that unknowingly most of you are praying to. Okay, so let me just let me just touch on the concept of the monad because not everybody understand it. So this video introduces the monad as the one, the absolute source that precedes all names in creation. It is described as perfect, undifferentiated unity, not a personal God who judges or issues commandments. Okay. And then it touched on the demiurge versus the true God. So, according to the Gnostic text, the physical world was not a purposeful creation, but a cosmic accident. An entity named Yaldabaoth was born from the Aeon Sophia's imbalanced emanation. We talked about this last week. Sir Tato Malay talk about this not last week, but two weeks ago, I think. She mistakenly believes, no, the demiurge mistakenly believes that he is the only God. So, this jealous God of the Old Testament in the Bible traps sparks of the monad's light within the material bodies. That's us. We were trapped. We are in prison planet. So, let's talk about the divine spark within. The central theme is that every human carries a fragment of the monad within them. Me, you, all of us. Because of this, no church, priest, or religious institution is needed as an intermediary to the divine. And then this is the historical suppression. The early church, notably at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, suppressed Gnostic teachings because they threatened the institutional power. Again, this is in alignment with what Sir Tata was explaining today in our previous video. So, by making the church the exclusive dispenser of grace, they replaced the monad with a king like deity who demands loyalty and fear. So, now we need to be awakened from cosmic amnesia. All right. So the Gnostics believe humanity is suffering from a form of forgetfulness. And the archons, which is the powers ruling the material realm, the demiurge that I was talking about, want to keep people identified with their limited controllable selves, right? The cabal,
Right, right,
the globalists, the elites. But there is a practical path back to the monad by entering the kingdom, which involves collapsing dualities, inner, outer, no more separation. So it recommends that meditating to find the still space between the thoughts, which will serve as a doorway to the monad, is what we need to do, right? Solitude,
right,
meditate. And we need to live from recognition, realizing our nature as the monad leads to a life of lightness, where one participates in the world without desperate clinging. And this realization naturally fosters universal love because every being is seen as the same source wearing a different mask. So we are one. We're just wearing different masks. We all came from the same source. So that was the video that I came across. Now I wanted to talk about today's words of the Buddha, April 14, which is again in line. This is not by accident, in line with the topic. So first, I will read the passage, then I will explain it. So the passage goes, if one longing for sensual pleasure achieves it, yes, one's enraptured at heart. The mortal gets what one wants, but if for that person longing, desiring, the pleasures diminish, one's shattered as if shot with an arrow. All right, very deep and profound, but this passage is a translation of the Kama Sutta. It's a foundational teaching from the Buddhist philosophy. I'm not a Buddhist. I don't have a religion. I practice
Kama Sutra?
Vipassana. No,
Kama
Kama
Sutra?
Sutta. Kama Sutta.
Akala mo Kama. I thought
No,
Kama
no, no.
Sutra.
It's Kama
Okay.
Sutta. It's a foundational
But you
teaching
know
from
what
the
Kama
Buddhist.
Sutra is?
Yes, I do. But this is not
Okay, okay.
related to what we're talking about.
All right.
So
All
it's
right.
not, I know you're trying to be
Uh,
funny, but no, this is not a
no, no,
funny
no. I just
comical
wanted to clarify
matter.
because I thought I heard it wrong.
You heard it
Right.
wrong. No,
Okay.
it's Kama
No.
Sutta. Sutta. Sutta, not
Okay.
sutra.
Okay.
So it's a
All right.
foundational teaching from the Buddhist philosophy. It serves as a psychological observation of how human desire is kama in I think it's Pali word. Yeah, Pali word or Sanskrit word. So, how human desire functions and why it often leads to distress. So, here's a breakdown of the core concepts. Number one, the trap of success. Again, this leads back to the topic that we're talking about today. So, number
Yep.
one, the trap of success. If one longing for sensual pleasure achieve it, yes, one's enraptured at heart. This acknowledges the basic human experience. Getting what we want feels good. The verse doesn't deny the reality of pleasure. It recognizes the enraptured state of mind that has fulfilled a craving. It acknowledges that in the short term, desire and its fulfillment provide a temporary high. Temporary high. Okay, number two, the fragility of attachment. The passage says, but if for that person the pleasures diminish. So this refers to the law of anicca. Anicca means impermanence. In this philosophical framework, no sensual pleasure, whether it's a relationship, a physical sensation, or a material sensation, is permanent. Eventually, the pleasure fades, the object is lost, or our ability to enjoy it changes. Right? Again, this is in line with the topic that we we just talked about earlier. Number three, the arrow of grief. The passage says, once shattered as if shot with an arrow. Okay, so the arrow is a common metaphor in Eastern philosophy for the second layer of suffering, second layer of suffering. The first arrow is the actual loss of the pleasure, which is the external event. And then the second arrow is the mental anguish, resentment, and shattered feeling we experience because we were attached to the pleasure and expected it to last. So the summary of the lesson is the passage isn't necessarily saying that pleasure is bad, but rather that longing and desiring create a state of vulnerability. When your happiness is dependent on a shifting external pleasure, you are essentially handing over your peace of mind to something you cannot control. So, by understanding this cycle, the practitioner is encouraged to find a pleasure or a peace that doesn't diminish, usually found through internal awareness and detachment rather than through external pursuit. So, isn't that profound? Very, very aligned
Yep,
with the topic that we're discussing today.
exactly.
So that's why it was like when you were discussing this, I was like, oh, I remember this video. It would be a perfect addition to this topic that we're discussing. And then I was looking at the explanation of today's wisdom of the Buddha. And then again, it talks about the same thing, which is in alignment with what we're talking about. So I said I need to emphasize and include this as part of the video. So anyway, we have an hour and 20 minutes, and there are more
Wow,
Tuesdays
overtime.
that we can talk about this. I mean, we cannot, there's just so many things that we can talk about. So I think we need to end it here.
Yep.
I don't want it to go over an hour and a half. So uh, Sir Tato, again, thank you so much for your time
Thank you
today.
also for inviting me again here.
Yes, you're very welcome, and I'm glad we're doing this on a weekly basis. There's just so many things that we can teach people, and there's many more Tuesdays that we can talk about other
Sure,
things
sure.
in alignment with
Can
this.
go forever
Yes, until they all wake up, right?
until they all wake
So
up.
whatever comes
I think they're
first,
still waking up
solar
because it's infinite.
solar flash or the solar
Yeah,
flash or
it's infinite.
us.
So, marami pa tayong pag-uusapan in another dimension. We'll be already in another dimension. Iba pa.
Yeah. Oh, and that in
Anyway,
the higher dimension, it won't be talking. It's
telepathic.
telepathically
Yeah, right.
communication, and we won't be teaching them anything because they would get it already. It's a
Exactly.
different consciousness.
No, but
Um,
we are now going to create new worlds and new civilizations, and so we'll help them grow.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes. A bridge. So not everybody, uh not old souls that incarnate in this lifetime right now here on earth are going to do that. Sir Tato, as he
mhm.
mentioned earlier, will be moving forward with the transition and helping out. So am I. I'm not going to be going back to my original realm. I'm going to be in
Been there,
45D
done that.
to help. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be here and helping everybody bridge to
Right,
uh, to the new world, new earth. Not the new world order, okay? I did not. It's
uh,
not what we're creating. It's 5D,
not the
new earth.
transhuman.
Not the transhumanism, transgenderism agenda. No, that's the technocratic. That's the negative timeline. We don't want to be on that timeline. We want to be in the organic timeline. All right?
Right,
All right.
right.
So thank you everyone
Okay,
for watching and
bye.
thank you for being patient with us as we share all this profound wisdom that's relevant right now.
All
So
right.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.